KDP just made a pretty big change as to how self-publishers can choose categories for their book. So let's talk about what the change is, how it's going to affect your publishing process, and how it's going to affect the discoverability of your book. Publishers used to be able to choose up to 10 categories for their book. So they would choose 2 BISAC categories on the back end, and BISAC categories are essentially just universal categories that are used by all bookstores and libraries all over the world. And then they'd also be able to choose up to 8 browse categories. Those were the customer-facing categories in the Amazon store. And the way you would add those browse categories is by emailing KDP after your book had already been published, and then just requesting whatever those categories were. So you're going to be able to choose all 3 of those categories on the back end during the publishing process, and KDP is no longer going to be accepting category requests through email. Also, the available categories are going to depend on the primary marketplace that you've chosen, which you're now going to choose before you choose your categories. So first of all, you're going to choose that overall broader category. Next, you're going to choose a subcategory. So this is a little bit more descriptive, just drilling down a little bit deeper. And then finally, you'll choose the placement. And the placement is pretty much just the end of the line for that entire category string. Now, as always, you want to make sure that you're choosing relevant categories. A lot of self-publishers used to choose irrelevant categories simply because they were lower competition, and that would give their book more discoverability and potentially lead to more sales. But of course, this is a horribly frustrating experience for the shopper. For example, if a shopper is looking through the photography section and then suddenly they come up with, I don't know, like a diet logbook or something like that. That's just going to make no sense, and it's probably going to be pretty frustrating for the shopper. Also, Amazon is just clamping down on that in general, so you don't want to be doing anything that's going to put your account in jeopardy. So now, since you've only got the option of choosing 3 categories, it's going to be more important than ever to try and choose those lower competition categories. You might want to start using a tool like Publisher Rocket to help you choose those lower competition categories. They've got a really great new historical category feature. This feature lets you check out how a category has been trending over time so that you can find ones that are moving in the right direction. Also shows you page count, percentage of books from large publishers, and some other information, just to help you make the best category choice for your book. Also, just to point out, you can still change your categories at any time, but it is recommended to actually give those categories some time to perform first. So don't set your categories and then, change them like a week later. Give them a few weeks, if not a couple months, to perform before you start fiddling around with them again. So now ultimately, what does this mean for the discoverability and ultimately the sales of your book? Is this going to produce some sort of negative consequence for you? I don't think so. So before, you used to be able to choose these 10 categories, but many of those were going to be higher competition because it was just basically impossible to find 10 low competition categories. Narrowing this down to 3 basically just means you're going to be dropping those higher competition categories that probably weren't doing much for you anyways. So I don't really think this is going to adversely affect the discoverability of your book. It just means you're going to have to make wiser choices. If the whole idea of low content publishing is brand new to you and you would like to learn how to generate passive income creating and selling journals, planners, notebooks, and all of those fun books on the Kindle Direct Publishing platform, download my free guide, 3 Steps to Publishing Your First Low Content Book in Less Than a Day. I've linked that down in the description below. You can check out these videos next for some more on low content publishing. And please don't forget to like this video if you did like it, and subscribe, share, and thank you so much. We'll see you next week.